At this time, it gives me great pleasure to introduce the Honorable Minister of Labor and National Security, Honorable Dr. Errol Cort, or Senator Errol Cort.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. A pleasant good day to the Honorable Prime Minister. A pleasant good day to the President of the TUC and all other trade union leaders. A pleasant good day to all the workers who have gathered here to listen to the various speeches and to participate in the march that will follow thereafter. I must say I am happy once again to stand here to deliver a very brief address in my capacity as Minister of Labor. I believe that this will be my 6th delivery on such an occasion. I am reminded by a previous speaker that this might very well be my last, but time will no doubt tell. I use the occasion to applaud all of our trade unionists. I applaud the TUC for the job that it continues to do. I applaud the past president, Maurice Christian, the present president, and all of the other executive members of that great institution. We look forward to the TUC continuing to build and continuing to attract membership so that when we come to a venue like this, we would have very large crowds listening to the various deliveries. I also applaud Senator David Messiah in his capacity as president of CCL. I must say that he is doing Antigua and Barbuda well. I have had the occasion to listen to his presentations at various international fora. And coming from Antigua and Barbuda, I felt proud in terms of what he is doing for us in his capacity as president of the CCL. Brothers and sisters, comrades and friends, I stand here today to touch on a number of issues. The first one I wish to touch on is an issue that seemed to have occupied the media over the last couple of weeks. I recall about 2 weeks or so, I went to a luncheon at City View Hotel where we were celebrating those persons that we brought on to the new job program. And I was asked there by a news reporter if I would not agree with the suggestion that it's only because elections are in the air why we're having so many disturbances and so many protests. And I said to the news reporter that I did not agree with his suggestion. And I went on to explain why I didn't agree. And my explanation was as follows, and I need to repeat it, because somehow, intentionally or otherwise, I believe I was tremendously misquoted. I said I didn't believe that the election atmosphere is what would be triggering industrial relations, because I feel and felt that the unions have acted in a most responsible way, certainly as Minister of Labor from where I sit. And I made that point. I have had many meetings with the different unions, and they have been most responsible in how they have treated with issues. They come to the Labor Ministry, we discuss, we agree, we move forward. I look, for example, on the various issues raised with public sector employees. They may take industrial action, but immediately they come to the table. And once there's an agreement, that goes by the wayside. If they wanted to in this environment, they could have insisted that they would not go back to work. But they haven't done that. And I wanted then and today to big up the trade union movement for being responsible in how they've treated with these matters. I went on in the interview to say this, that let us examine the environment in which we operate. We have come through the worst recession known to this country. So there would have been a lot of room for trade unions to really activate, to pull employees out. Employers have put employees, some of them on short week, rotate this week on, this week off. Some have been unemployed, but yet still the unions have been responsible in how they've dealt with that matter. And I said then, and I want to repeat here today, that you are operating in a responsible way. And I want to recognize that, and I hope that this time that I'm quoted properly. Because you all are doing a good job. If you have to raise your voice, raise your voice. If workers are upset, come and say so. But when we come to the table and sit down and talk, you are responsible. You do what you have to do. And I appreciate that, and I applaud you for that here today. Brothers and sisters, let me move on. I want to use this forum today to pay tribute to our public servants. I've heard previous speakers lament on certain issues, but today I pay tribute to the 8,000 to 10,000 public servants that we have here in Antigua and Barbuda. I pay you tribute because you have toiled hard, you have done a good job, and you continue to do a good job. And when I look in the record and see that in 1994, 1995, you were offered and accepted wage increases. Not a cent was paid to you back then. And again, in 2000 and 2001, notwithstanding, no wage increase was paid, even though it was agreed in 1994 and 1995. The administration came again, and in 2000, further increases were given or agreed to. But not a dime was paid to our public servants. Not a dime. And it took the United Progressive Party government in 2004 to honor the back pay to public servants in this country going back to 1994. And notwithstanding the fact that when we came into office in 2004, we met an empty treasury. Notwithstanding the fact that we had to go to borrow money to pay wages and salaries in December of 2004, it was this administration that paid $15 million to the public servants in this country. I feel proud of that. And we came again, my brothers and sisters, and in 2005, it was this administration that gave all public servants a 7% increase across the board. And we came again, my brothers and sisters, in 2006 and 2007, and this administration paid $32 million to public servants in this country. And my brothers and sisters, it did not end there, because in 2007, we also paid $10 million in back pay in terms of mileage and travel allowance. And then, my brothers and sisters, in 2008, it was this administration that gave public servants a 10% increase across the board, totaling $30 million in payment. I say to all my public servants in this country, this administration would have paid you in excess of $100 million in back pay that goes back to 1994. And I say to you, public servants, notwithstanding the greatest recession ever seen in this country, not one public servant was sent home. Not one. We maintain full employment in terms of the public servants in this country. My brothers and sisters, notwithstanding all of that, we also recognize that there is still $100 million more to pay to the public servants. And this administration announced that starting in 2014, we will begin to liquidate that other $100 million. And I want to use the occasion to say all the other issues raised here today, they will be addressed by this administration. So to all public servants, I say to you today, you are in safe hands with this administration in respect of your future. My brothers and sisters, I move on to the next matter that I wish to address today. And that is the whole issue of the minimum wage committee that was established a year ago. And as you know, under the Antigua and Barbuda Labor Code, the labor minister is duty bound to appoint a minimum wage committee to look at minimum wage in this country and to make recommendations for consideration. Well, a minimum wage committee was appointed last year, and that minimum wage committee consisted of members from the unions, members from the private sector. In particular, in terms of the private sector, we had the Employers Federation, the Chamber of Commerce, the Private Sector Business Alliance, those representing the security guard sector. We also had those representing the hotels. Then we had a number of union representatives on that committee, in addition to a number of government representatives. The committee completed its work in around March of this year. And I invited the entire committee to come to the cabinet to present its report so that the cabinet could have the benefit of the committee as opposed to a second-hand recital from me in terms of what the committee said. But I want to say today that the committee unanimously recommended to the government that we increase the minimum wage in this country from $7.50 to $8.20. The cabinet looked at that recommendation, and I'm happy to tell you today that the cabinet has agreed to an increase in the minimum wage in this country in accordance with the recommendations coming out of that minimum wage advisory committee. I would also go further to say that the implementation of that decision will be done after consultations with all of the key stakeholders. We recognize that it may take a little while to implement. Certain things need to be put in place. So we will have consultations in respect of how we go about implementing the increase in the minimum wage. The Minimum Wage Committee also recommended for consideration different levels of minimum wages for different sectors. While we think that that might be a useful way to go, that suggestion needs a little more study. So we are currently studying that particular recommendation. But the initial recommendation of the increase across the board will take effect in this country, my brothers and sisters. My brothers and sisters, I am also happy in respect of the report coming out in the census report in respect of unemployment in this country. We have given guesstimates. We have gone on record and we have said, well, we believe that the unemployment rate in this country could be anywhere between 10, but certainly no more than 15%. We gave our reasons. We said we looked at Social Security numbers, and that gave us a figure in the ballpark of 12%. We said that we had our own survey in respect of employers, and that survey placed the figure in the vicinity of 8%. We said we also looked at the re-registration numbers, and that gave a figure of about 10%. Well, we now have the official census report, and that report shows unemployment in this country at a level of 10.2%. We say to all of you that even at 10.2%, it is this administration's goal to eliminate all unemployment in this country. So as we move forward, we anticipate that we will be reducing unemployment from 10.2% until there is no unemployment in this country. We look forward to the day in the not too distant future when anybody who is desirous of working have employment out there so that he or she could adequately take up. And that day is coming, my brothers and sisters. I am also proud in respect of the legislation that we have been able to work on over the past 5 years in this country as it pertains to labor matters. Through the National Labor Board, we were able to review the Antigua and Barbuda Labor Code and to revise that labor code so that when Parliament resumes in the not too distant future, we will have modern labor legislation to take to Parliament. Thank you to the involvement of the unions and the employers in crafting an upgraded labor law for this country, which will continue to be the envy of all of our other CARICOM brothers and sisters. I am told that they are lining up to get copies of this document. I am also happy that we have completed the entire review in respect of the safety and health legislation, that we have finished the review in respect of the workers' compensation legislation. All of this work has been done with the great assistance of the union and the National Labor Board. I say to all of them, we are indebted to you, and I look forward to that day in the Parliament of Antigua and Barbuda when we take that as a package in the not too distant future and pass all of that legislation to assist and advance workers' cause in this country. My brothers and sisters, as I wind down my deliberations here today, I say to you that things have been difficult. It has been a long and difficult road for the government. Finances have been tight, but the Honorable Prime Minister ensured and asked me to make sure that when I come here this morning, at least I have a little pittance in my pocket to give the TUC in accordance with our commitment and obligation to that great, outstanding organization. So following the instructions of the Prime Minister, I was able to get a check payable to the TUC from the Treasury of Antigua and Barbuda. And although things are difficult, I am happy to present to the President of the TUC a check from the government of Antigua and Barbuda in the sum of $35,000, my brothers and sisters. On behalf of the Honorable Prime Minister and the government, we present to you, Mr. Kim Burden, a check, a heavy check, in the amount of $35,000 for the good work of your organization. We say long live the TUC. We say continue to do a good work and have a great march today. Thank you very much.